Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to a NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com as well as the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ. I have your questions today from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag NoDQturns20. We have the Royal Rumble coming up in just 2 short weeks now. It's almost Royal Rumble time. We're getting into WrestleMania season. Let's get down to your questions. First one today comes from Mr. Yuck. Have you watched GFW Anthem Impact Wrestling or whatever it's called lately? Their championship belts are atrocious. Your thoughts on the product? I have not really been following Impact Wrestling over the last couple months, to be perfectly honest with you. I have checked out the occasional YouTube clips, but the thing is, the YouTube clips are really short compared to WWE's YouTube clips. On WWE's channel, they'll upload a good 4 or 5 minute video. With TNA/GFW, well, they're not GFW anymore for sure. I still like to call them TNA. But with Impact Wrestling, they'll upload maybe 1 minute videos or 2 minute videos at the longest. So you really cannot get much information off of those videos as to what happened on the show. I guess the idea is to watch Pop TV. I don't really have enough interest in watching Impact Wrestling because I feel like they're at a point of no return. Now, with that being said, there was a big spoiler at this week's Impact Wrestling tapings. So if you do not want to be spoiled, skip about a minute or two ahead of this video. Austin Aries is back in Impact Wrestling, and not only that, he's the new Impact Wrestling World Champion. I am actually interested in checking out Impact Wrestling for the first time in a long time now that Aries is back. Will it solve their problems and turn the company around? Highly unlikely, but I am intrigued. I feel like Austin Aries is one of the best guys in the business right now. I feel like WWE made a mistake letting him go. The problem is it's the same thing with TNA where a former WWE guy comes in and then wins the world title. What does it say about TNA when the champions, the world champions especially, are guys that were rejected by WWE? The story works once in a while if a guy was unfairly let go or misused or whatever, and he can come back and be a big star somewhere else. But most of the time that hasn't happened. Most of the time the guy goes to TNA and doesn't really do anything significant. Aries is great though. We'll see if he can make chicken salad out of chicken you know what. Got this one here from Paul Jackson. Which match would you rather see at WrestleMania? John Cena versus Undertaker or John Cena versus Samoa Joe? Easy answer. I would much rather see Cena versus Samoa Joe at this point. 3 years ago, I would have said Cena versus Undertaker, no doubt about it. I think WWE should have done Cena versus Undertaker when the streak was still intact. You could have had the streak on the line in a submission match, a battle of the two guys that don't give up. It would have been tremendous. Even a year ago, I would have been more interested in John Cena versus Undertaker. Now that Undertaker lost to Roman Reigns, I'm not really feeling another John Cena versus Undertaker match. And who knows what kind of shape Undertaker is in at this point. Apparently, he's in really good shape coming off of his hip surgery. He reportedly is doing really well. Maybe he'll be able to redeem himself from last year's WrestleMania, which I felt was a snooze fest to end that WrestleMania. I really want to see John Cena versus Samoa Joe in a high-profile match, considering their history going back to UPW. Obviously, from a mainstream perspective, John Cena versus Undertaker is a much bigger match than John Cena versus Samoa Joe. So, you know, it is what it is. WWE is going to go with a more marketable match that appeals to a wider audience. But personally, I'd rather see Cena versus Joe. Now, the big question is, will Samoa Joe even be able to be part of WrestleMania this year due to his foot injury? That is something that is definitely going to be talked about over the next several weeks. And hopefully for Joe's sake, he'll be able to come back as soon as possible. It's terrible luck for him because he had a hot 2017, but the first injury in the late summer and then this injury, these injuries have no doubt slowed his momentum. And I'm hoping he'll be able to come back and have a big match at WrestleMania. Even if he did not get hurt, though, I don't think WWE was going to even consider doing Cena versus Joe. They're going to put John Cena in there with the biggest opponent possible, a match that can generate the headlines. Last year, it wasn't technically as big, but the John Cena proposal to Nikki Bella in itself was a big story that generated mainstream headlines, and that's why it was done. For this year, WWE wants the mainstream headlines with John Cena, so they're going to do a big match, which is most likely going to be versus Undertaker. Got this one here from Travis. Since WWE doesn't have a show for them right now, and most of the UK division are the size of the Cruiserweights, do you think they should add them to 205 to add more depth and fresh matches to both divisions? Absolutely. I mean, I think we should definitely see guys like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in 205 Live. I am getting sick of it. It feels like we've been seeing the same half a dozen guys on 205 Live and on Raw over the last year or so. We've had Cedric Alexander, Rich Swann prior to his situation. We've had Drew Gulak, who has been entertaining, but still, it's the same guys. Mustafa Ali, Daivari. We need to get some fresh blood in there for sure. I'd love to see Pete Dunne get into the mix and Tyler Bate get into the mix and just get some fresh people in there for sure. You gotta cycle some guys out. Maybe do an off season with the Cruiserweights. You're not going to do it with the main guys, but with the Cruiserweights, bring in some guys and have some other guys work indies for a while or work other promotions while they're still under contract to WWE. Let them do some other things. Cycle the guys in and out so things can stay fresh a little bit. I don't see how that's a negative. I think it could definitely help, at least somewhat. This one comes from B. Hill. Hey Aaron, congrats on 20 years of NoDQ. Thank you for that, B. Hill. With Chris Jericho attacking Naito on the show after Wrestle Kingdom 12, I assume he is sticking around for New Japan Pro Wrestling a bit longer. Do you think there's still, this is still for him or now to help grow New Japan? I feel like Jericho is doing what's best for Jericho. Keep in mind, Jericho is doing Fozzy. He's got several tour dates lined up, and that's really his priority above wrestling right now. 2018 is a Fozzy year. Jericho's going on the road with his band. He's got a lot of tour dates scheduled, and that's the focal point. It's hard to do WWE and Fozzy at the same time. What Jericho wants to do is the Brock Lesnar schedule, where he comes in, does maybe one match every couple months, and that's it. He could do video promos to set up the match and other things. So I think Jericho wants to focus on his band and work in New Japan just as a way to stay fresh. You know, Jericho is really smart. He knows when to step away from WWE and do other things and keep himself in demand. I mean, Jericho is incredibly brilliant when it comes to his marketing and how he handles his character and himself as a brand and a business. Jericho does a tremendous job. He provides the off season for himself. If WWE doesn't provide it, Jericho steps away. He's gone for a while, and fans are wanting him to come back. They're anticipating it, and then when he does come back, he's a fresh face again. Jericho is really doing it right, and not many people can get away with it though, because some people only have WWE as their one option. With Jericho, he's got other things going on. He has his band, and he's been a big enough star for a long enough period of time where he can go to New Japan and play this role where he's a part-timer who can come in. And he's helping New Japan, no doubt about it, in terms of getting more of the Western world interested in New Japan. So he's earning his paycheck with New Japan, no doubt about it. This one comes from Cruz. Do you think WWE would induct DX into the Hall of Fame as a way to sneak China in? Not really. I don't think anybody in WWE is thinking, hey, let's induct DX so we can get China in. I don't think anybody's thinking that. If China goes in, it'll be because WWE wants to put China into the Hall of Fame. She'll go in on her own. If DX goes in, it'll be a way to get Shawn in there again. That's what that would be about, more than China for sure. And maybe for the Outlaws and X-Pac too. I think it would be more about them than China. Now, I definitely feel China should be in the Hall of Fame, and she should be inducted by herself as her own entity. I would hope if DX did go in, that China would be recognized. I don't know if she would be. My guess is if DX went into the Hall of Fame, I'm sure they will. It's only a matter of time. The Horsemen went in. I think the focal point will be, of course, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and then Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and X-Pac. And then maybe WWE will acknowledge China as well. I mean, I feel they should, but I don't think it's a guarantee that they will. And I don't think WWE is going to induct DX as a way to sneak China into the Hall of Fame. Got this one here from Sean T. Flick. After WrestleMania, could you see Apollo Crews getting a Jinder Mahal push? Are you basically asking if I think that Apollo Crews is going to win the world title? Is that what you're implying? I'm not sure. Or if he's just going to get a main event level push. I don't think either's going to happen. It's a different scenario. It's apples and oranges. Jinder Mahal was pushed as a way for WWE to expand into India. That's why it was done. Jinder Mahal was just the right guy in the right place at the right time. Apollo Crews, there's really no business reason for WWE to push the guy. His character still needs work, and if anything, I think he should go back to NXT and work on his character and have the company further develop him and figure out what works with his character, because him coming out as part of Titus Brand and smiling all the time, it's not working. He's lost in the shuffle. He's just a body, and the guy's got talent. So you got to figure out something else for him. Give his character an edge, change up his look, do something, go in a different direction, and experiment with NXT. I mean, I feel like he'll have a better chance at developing his character in NXT than on WWE. So if anything happens after WrestleMania, I think he goes back to NXT. I don't see him getting a force-fed main event push. This one comes from Steve Appleby. With the Women's Royal Rumble being a first time ever and receiving lots of promotion more than the Men's Rumble match, could we see the Women's Rumble main event the Rumble pay-per-view? Probably not. I don't think that's going to happen because the Women's Rumble is untested. The Men's Rumble is a tradition, and it's been the drawing point of the Royal Rumble for 30 plus years now. That's going to be the main event. That's where your heavy hitters are, your John Cena's, your top draws in the company, with all due respect to the women. I feel like the women's match is an experiment. They're being given this opportunity, but we don't know how this match is going to go. It could turn out to be a train wreck. Time will tell if they can pull it off, if the agents can put together a solid match and the women can perform at the level of the men in this type of match. It's all a big question mark right now, and we have to see what happens. I don't think WWE is going to take a risk by putting this match on last. Like I've said before, I think if there is a time where the women main event a major pay-per-view, it will be WrestleMania if Ronda Rousey is involved in the match. In that case, I could potentially see Ronda's match going on last at WrestleMania. That would be the time for it to happen. Other than that, I don't see it happening at a major event. This next question comes from Freddie PhD. Do you think Baron Corbin could be salvaged if he adopted an anti-hero babyface persona, had a little freedom on the mic, and changed his look? If not, how would you attempt to revitalize his character? I think he possibly could be salvaged, but I feel like it needs a lot of work. I do feel like his character was damaged by the John Cena match at SummerSlam and failing to cash in Money in the Bank. I think that really hurt him. I think he could benefit maybe even going back to NXT like Apollo Crews, or at the very least just taking some time off. I mean, this is one argument to the offseason. WWE will never do an offseason because they're all about business and making money. But it's good to cycle guys in and out so they can be gone for a while and fans will have a chance to miss those guys and they can possibly tweak their characters and come up with some new ideas. And when they come back, they're fresh faces and maybe they have something new to bring to the table and they can potentially have a reboot and have a renewed push. You look at Matt Hardy. He came back. He has this new persona, the Woken Matt persona, something different from what he was during his first WWE run with the Hardy Boys. So same thing with Baron Corbin. I feel like if he just stepped away for a while, maybe shave his head, change his look, work on his promos, he could come back with a renewed push and be a fresh face again. He needs some kind of makeover, whether it's changing the look or just taking acting classes. I don't know, but I think maybe a combination of all of it could potentially give him a renewed push and a second shot in WWE to make it big. Because right now, I feel like he's quickly just becoming another guy on the roster, and somebody with his size and his look, you would think that he would be a bigger star than he is. This one comes from Sean D. First time asker, all right. Could you see Dolph Ziggler coming back and challenging the new United States champion and claim he never lost, and this leads to a ladder match at the title like Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon? I could possibly see this happen, and I have seen people speculate about this, but I think it's more likely that he actually wins the Royal Rumble. I feel like there's a legitimate shot of him winning, and looking at the possibilities, looking at WWE doing an Elimination Chamber match with the Raw brand, one would think that would rule out a Raw superstar from winning, and then you have Fastlane with the Fatal 5-Way match for the WWE title. That would, you would think, rule out guys like Randy Orton and Nakamura from winning since they're scheduled for that 5-way match. And of course, card subject to change. But the fact that that Fastlane match is being advertised as a pay-per-view main event match, it would be weird if that got changed for storyline purposes. But anything can happen. That opens the door to a potential dark horse candidate, and I did mention this on the last video, some potential dark horse winners. Somebody people are not expecting. It would be nice because it feels like the last several years, the most obvious guy has won the Royal Rumble, and actually, traditionally, that's what has happened, where the most predictable outcome is usually what happens. You look at Austin, even Steve Austin winning in 98, that was extremely predictable. And when Austin came back, 2001, that was predictable. Triple H winning in 2002 was predictable. And a lot of these years, the guy that you expect to win ends up winning, just like with Roman Reigns in 2015. I'd like to see somebody new win it. If not Nakamura, which is what I'd personally like to see to set up AJ versus Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler would be a great choice. That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thank you all again for watching. If you liked this video, please share it on social media. Tell a friend about NoDQ Video, and stay tuned this weekend. We got lots of content on the website. Check it out. Check out the videos, NoDQ panel, Wrestling Trivia Challenge, and all that good stuff. And I will be back this week for NoDQ Live and more NoDQ Video. Stay tuned.